Everybody, and welcome. I'm Zane. I'm here with Thomas, Brody, and Cooper, of course. I hope everyone's had a great weekend, and we are back with another podcast. I believe this is episode, 7?
Yes.
So we are going to lead it off with Cooper Fry in a rundown of is it Pistons Summer League, or
Just
it might
Summer League.
just he's going to start it off with a Pistons Summer League recap, and then he's going to give his thoughts on the overall Summer League. It was a really good one in my opinion. Emoni Bates has gone crazy. That's going to be a steal for the Cavs if he can keep his act together.
Thank you, Zane. First, I'm going to go over the Pistons. The Pistons finished their Summer League record up at 4-1. It was a great performance, and the people I cared most about did very well, a.k.a. the rookies. The rest were just a bunch of G League players trying to make the league. But Ausar Thompson, absolute dog. And then the last game of the Summer League season for the Pistons, Marcus Sasser just goes off for 40 points. Zane, how did you feel about that performance?
You know, when I was watching it, he only scored 9 points in the first half, but in the second half, he was very efficient. I believe he only missed one shot. His defense was phenomenal, and he really stepped up with Ausar not playing. So I was really happy to see that, and I think that just means Killian Hayes is out the door at this point. I believe he wiped all of his socials too, like right after the game. He scored 40, like right after he wiped all of his socials. So I think that is a pretty big hint that Killian Hayes is at least 1 foot out the door. We might package him with Bojan to try to get maybe some more picks or another future prospect or something. You know, another player. Maybe like send him to LA for Jalen Hood-Schifino. I don't know. I'd like to see that. I'm really high on Hood-Schifino, especially in Indiana, freshman.
I don't think Killian Hayes is getting JHS.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. But they might get Bojan with Bron. That would be deadly.
That would be deadly.
I mean, Bron needs something over there that resembles a shooter and not just Data Davis that they have. That's Anthony Davis too. He can't stay healthy. I mean, Reeves is cool, but he's not a shooter. He's a scorer.
You need another shooter.
They just need just a dead eye shooter like Bojan. I mean, every time Bojan shoots the ball, I think it's going in. But I'm gonna get back on track here. I was really happy what I'm seeing with Marcus Sasser. I'm kind of getting Lindsey Hunter vibes from him, from the Going to Work Pistons, if you guys know what I mean. He just does his role. He can score a little bit, but his role once he gets to the team is going to be defense. But he has good offensive upside.
Loved it, and watching the Marcus Sasser highlights just made me fall in love with him. Again, I was questionable with the pick. We traded up. I thought we could have got Bryce Sensabaugh. I wanted Bryce Sensabaugh.
As you know, too, I was very high on Bryce Sensabaugh coming out of Ohio State, all Big Ten freshman. He's a pure scorer, and I really was hoping he dropped us, but I kind of was like you. I questioned the pick just because of the height, but he is turning out to be something special.
So we got a question coming in. Who do you think has a higher ceiling between the Thompson twins?
And I would say Ausar on that, because Ausar is the more complete player. Ausar will lock up. Ausar will get you 2 steals a night. He'll give you 8 rebounds. He'll give you 7 assists, and he'll give you 15 points. Now, Amen, he might be the better scorer, so he might average 22, but he's not passing that ball, and he is not playing nearly as aggressive defense than his brother. So I truly think that Ausar has the higher ceiling, but Amen has the lower floor just because he can score more points. Like, he wants to be a more able of an aggressive scorer than Ausar. And I did like the decision to sit Ausar for the last game. Sadly, we didn't get to be in the playoffs, like the real important playoffs of the Summer League, because we lost 1 game. But Ausar proved himself. He was worthy of our 5th pick. Again, coming out of OTE, the competition wasn't as strong, and he is older, so I was kind of worried about that. But in the Summer League, he has proven to just be a great basketball player. And then, like, just an overall Summer League recap, let's give some credit to Emoni Bates. Like,
Mr. Gun Charge?
I'm sorry. I just want to say something. Emoni, please stop posting Cleveland. This is for you. it's just cringy, man. I mean, you're comparing yourself to the greatest comeback of all time and the greatest player of all time. I mean, please stop. And then ESPN, you didn't do him any favors putting him side by side with the Bron picture.
I will agree with that, Imani. Like, congratulations. Keep your summer league ring in a drawer and never think about it again because it's really irrelevant.
Like, dude, it's summer league, man.
And yeah, and your team was the only one playing their actual player still, and you really got carried by Isaiah Mobley, not even Evan Mobley that night, and Sam Morril, Utah State legend.
Yeah.
But he did impress actually in the summer league. Imani Bates was a bucket. And, like, people were wondering, like, as he got picked, they're like, yeah, he did absolutely nothing in college, but he can score the ball.
He didn't play in college.
We watched him play against Michigan, and we see how proficient he can be scoring the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with his scoring ability. I just think it'll be tough for him to score because he's not going to be the main option on the Cavs. I mean, he jacked up 20 shots to get his 20 points, and he's just not going to get that with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley on the team. So, you know, he is a natural scorer. A lot of people like to throw in that KD comp. I mean, I can kind of see it, tall, lanky, natural shooting ability, but he's just got it. He's a high volume scorer, and he's just not going to get that with the Cavs.
I do agree with what you're saying about how he needs to get his points, but if he can become a more efficient scorer, he is really what the Cavs need. They need somebody on the wing that can score to make deeper postseason runs.
He could be the steal of this draft. He really could. But as of right now, the steal of the draft is two players. It's Keontae George and Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore, it's hard to call him really a steal because he should have went in the top 7, top 8, and all of a sudden he's fallen to 20, and he showed. I mean, he won the Summer League MVP. Zane, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's a steal.
Like, yeah, he's a steal, but there's no reason he should have fell that far. And he obviously showed it in the Summer League as he was a Summer League MVP, first team all Summer League, and averaging 20 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Like, he's a dog.
Yeah, and I just want to add in, too, do you guys remember when we gave our steals of the draft? I think all the way back to maybe episode 2 or 3. What teams did we have on there? We had the Houston Rockets and we had the Utah Jazz. And Keontae George and Cam Whitmore, we said it since day one. Those are going to be the steals of the draft, and they balled out and they showed up.
Yeah, again, Keontae George was definitely the runner-up of the Summer League MVP. I know that obviously never came out, but I'd have to say that Keontae George was the MVP runner-up. I mean, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Taylor Hendricks didn't play in the Summer League, did they?
I don't think I saw Taylor Hendricks out there. I know Sensabaugh didn't play because he's dealing with an injury. So I know he for sure didn't play. I didn't see Hendricks out there. I don't believe so, but I definitely saw Keontae George drop 40. So
yeah, Keontae George averaged 40 every night and brought the Jazz into the real Final Four and ended up losing to the Cavs. So I mean, worked out for Keontae. And we have another comment. Will Amen will be able to flourish as a pure scorer beside Jalen Green? He can. I mean, it's not completely impossible. Obviously, they're going to give the ball to Jalen Green, but yeah, after just one, like, 3 quarters. No, he got hurt. After like 3 quarters in his first Summer League game, it's hard to tell. It is hard to tell, but I do hope the best for the Thompson twins.
Before I answer this question, I'm going to ask you and Zane, do you think the Jazz win the Summer League if Hendricks and Sensabaugh play?
Yes. As thinking of a Summer League preview, I was thinking, like, who was going to win, and I truly thought, like, the Jazz would simply because they had the best draft, so best rookies, so. But it wasn't surprising, I mean, that the Rockets got to the finals. I mean, again, I didn't know that Jabari Smith was going to play, and Tari Eason. I mean, 2 key role players for them.
Yeah.
And then Cam Whitmore and who was the other rookie?
The one they got in the second round? I can't think of his name.
Well, anyway, they had a good team.
Eason?
No,
Eason was last year.
He was like a lockdown defender's rookie year.
So Yeah, but I would have predicted the Jazz to win the Summer League, but I didn't know that Hendricks and Sensabaugh weren't playing, and Keontae George basically just said, you know what, I'm just going to make you guys still think I'm going to win.
Yeah, so I think the Jazz would have had a way better shot, especially with adding Taylor Hendricks' length and defensive ability. But the two teams we saw make it were just obviously more experienced. Jabari Smith, Eason, all those dudes are second-year guys, and then Cavs, Mobley, all those second-year guys that were coming back. It would have been tough with all those rookies coming in when their first summer league to really compete with those two. So, but I think with Taylor Hendricks' length, he might have been able to give Mobley a little more problems than he, dealt with in the summer league.
And last question, segment question I have for you guys, not Tom, because Tom isn't our basketball guy. Who's your guys' biggest disappointment as a rookie? Like, biggest rookie disappointment from the summer league? Obviously, it's the summer league, so it really doesn't matter. But, exclude injuries, who is the biggest rookie disappointment for you guys?
Let me come back to me. I'm gonna think about that.
I know he ended better than he started, but I'm taking Brandon Miller. You take him over Scoot Henderson, you have to perform. You have to perform. Straight up, you have to perform. And he didn't. When, it's like piss or get off the porch or whatever. I don't know. Piss or get off the pot. He wasn't pissing. He was sitting there for too damn long. And to give Zane a little more time to think about this, I'm going to answer the question. Honestly, I'm going to go with no. I don't think he can flourish as a scorer alongside Jalen Green. I don't think it's just because of Jalen Green. You had him, Fred VanVleet, and Jabari Smith. You have four volume shooters, 4 volume scorers on the same team. I think that was a terrible mistake by the Rockets. How is he going to get consistent shots up? He's not as good at defending and playmaking as Ausar is. So I don't know how he's going to impact the game like the 4th overall pick in the draft should. You sign Fred VanVleet, he's going to shoot more shots than anybody else. We know how much Jalen Green chucks the rock. And Jabari Smith, deservingly so, should be able to shoot the ball. But where's he going? Yeah, he does. Where's he going to get his shots at? I really do not think that he will be a successful scorer in Houston because there's so many shooters and so many scorers there that are going to take shots from him.
Yeah, that's a great call by Brody. I honestly completely forgot about Fred VanVleet and his contract, so he's going to have at least 15, 20 shots. And the one other comment we got, Brandon Miller looked good against Wemby Spurs, though. No, he did not.
Just because he had that one highlight where he bullied Wemby, he had more in his first 2 games. He had more fouls than points. That's a real statistic. More fouls than points in his first 2 games.
I think it was more fouls than made field goals too.
It was like the first summer league game, not the ones that were televised, like the ones that were locally televised, not nationally televised. He fouled out in the first half. Yep. and shot 1 for 9.
The next game he had 4 in the first half, I think.
See, I would like to answer the question now. So I know you said regarding injuries and all that. So I'm gonna go with Brandon Miller with my answer as well, just because picked ahead of Scoot like Brody said. But we were just talking about how good of a shooter and just a pure scorer this guy is. I mean, you saw the shooting ability was there, especially coming off those pin down screens. But the off the dribble shooting ability, I just didn't. That was kind of lacking for me, in my opinion. But I'm just going to say a disappointment that I thought was Victor, just because he was just one game I got to see him, you know what I mean? Or 2 games and they benched him. I was really hoping he'd play against the Pistons. I wanted to see him, and I get why you would bench a guy like that. I just really wanted him to play the whole summer league and just, I just thought it would be a good opportunity for fans to really get to see him because no one's really got to see him that much. He's been playing in France, so that's what kind of disappointed me. But, not with anything of his play. I thought his play was phenomenal. Except for the first game, but those are growing pains for anybody transitioning from France to the NBA, even if it is summer league.
And for mine, I'm gonna go a little curveball here. I know he wasn't picked very high.
Did Jordan Walsh play for the?
He did. He did
because he was picked pretty high, and I didn't.
I heard he actually played pretty well.
I know, but I don't know. I just didn't hear. I know he did all right, but for him I don't know. Just a thought.
And I've been really high on this guy ever since his March Madness run. It's Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins was probably the second best shooter in this draft, and I think he shot maybe less than 10%. He shot like less than 10% from three. I mean, and he wasn't known for his athleticism, and the only thing he did productive in the Summer League was a putback dunk over somebody. And I'm a big fan of Jordan Hawkins. I hope that again, it's the Summer League, so I hope he turns it around. And another person that I kind of thought about but definitely didn't say was Grady Dick. I just think his team was terrible. I mean, Grady Dick did do his thing, but I get they went 0-5, but that is not on Grady Dick at all. He did his thing.
Who else did they draft? They had Marquise Noel, too, that guy who sauced MSU.
Absolutely sauced MSU.
If he doesn't have the best performance in a point guard in March Madness history, then MSU may have had a chance at the Natty. Like, I'm not joking. Their road after that game was pretty favorable.
Sucks to suck, doesn't it? Fuck 'em.
It does. But you know what else sucks? That TCU loss, man.
You don't have me on here saying how we should have won the Natty. So.
I didn't say that. I said we might have had a shot.
Yeah, I haven't said anything about that game. Now we're in their head already.
No, you guys should have had it. You guys should have won that game, though. I'm not a hater. I'm just a truther.
I'm a truther too, but fuck State.
Alrighty, as we are making college basketball and college football remarks, we're gonna go to Zane and his college football Heisman dark horse candidates.
Thank you, Cooper. Thank you. I'm gonna give a quick update on the Tigers right here. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 3-2. We are winning. Javi Baez is. I mean, he went yard today. I don't want to go to as far and say Almago's back.
Almago season?
It's definitely not Almago season.
I bet that's gotten posted 15 times on Detroit sports media.
And Cooper's Braves lost again, so nothing brings a smile more to my face than that.
Hey, San Diego won.
Hey, and
don't let them get hot. Do not let the Padres get hot.
And Brody's Padres have won today. And
if you don't get that joke, they won their first game back from the All-Star break, and I posted on my story, don't let them get hot. They proceeded to lose the rest of the series.
Hey, they're going to get hot, though. Watch them. All right. Would you guys – should I go in any particular – I'm not going to go in any particular order, but I will start with my honorable mention. My honorable mention, I'm going to go Bo Nix.
I like that.
See – that is one I didn't think I was going to get a lot of, support with. I thought Brody was going to lean back in his rocking chair and make one of those faces at me that you guys can't see. But, I'm glad you guys support that. I was really big on Bo Nix coming to Oregon. I mean, obviously you saw that first game against Georgia. Didn't look the best, but I liked him out of Auburn. And then when he transferred to Oregon, I thought that was a good move. But, he's got a good team. They definitely got hot, as Brody would say, the second half of the year. And were saying they had a shot to make the CFB, and they said they wanted another shot at Georgia. Yeah. So, I mean, for them to talk like that, they obviously had to be confident in, who drives confidence. No, I do not believe so. And anyway, who drives confidence for a team? It's the quarterback. So it starts with him, and that's why I believe Bo Nix.
And they also have a really good receiving core. Yeah, they got Troy Franklin and Tez Johnson. They got some goons up there, and they got Bucky Irving at running back. Like, they have a good team.
They do. So that's another. I'm going to go for my second one. I am going to go Michael Penix Jr. Like I've said before, if you guys tuned in the last podcast, I'm really high on Michael Penix Jr.
He plays Michigan State, so he's going for a 500-yard, 6-touchdown game.
I was just going to say that. If he plays Michigan State, he's locked in for 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. So, I mean, when he was with Indiana, torched Michigan State. When he was with Washington last year, torched Michigan State. He's going to do it this year again.
For all of our bettors out there, take the over right now on the Michigan State game for all of his stats. Just hammer it, every single one of them. Rushing,
even
receiving.
Interceptions.
No, not.
Just kidding.
Just hammer all the overs.
And like I said last podcast too, I think me and Brody didn't necessarily agree with this, but I think they are the second best offense in college football next year under Ohio State and just above USC. Brody would put USC above them, but not for me. Cooper, any thoughts?
I really do like I really do like the dark horse pick on Michael Penix, but I don't know how much of a dark horse he really is.
Okay, yeah, it's plus 1,200. I have the stats right here.
Okay.
Oh, and Bo Nix is plus 1,600. So I mean,
Okay, yeah.
but when I just hear Heisman candidates, I don't really hear a lot of Michael Penix.
Yeah.
So that's why I put him in my dark horse. And I know this year's different, but I think Michael Penix has always been a very, very underrated and undervalued quarterback, even when he was at Indiana in his first year at Washington.
Alex Lane just struck out Kyle Isbell to end the game, by the way.
Let's go.
Let's go Tigers. They're winning the pennant. Mark it down right now. Four Corners Podcast prediction. They are winning the pennant. So, Cooper, any thoughts?
Actually, before we do that, we've actually been very accurate on a lot of our predictions.
Especially for the Tigers.
Yeah.
And for Summer League.
And for hockey, like we've predicted a lot of signings.
It's like we know what we're talking about, okay?
And we've actually also like reverse jinxed a lot of guys. Like on our first episode, we talked really badly about Javi and Torque, and now they're kind of lighting it up right now.
They listen to us.
I will never give Javi bias props.
Torkelson has an over 1,000 OPS since he got benched on June 29th. Just a little fun fact.
Do you know Torque?
Day after our first podcast. I think our first podcast.
No, it was the day before.
Day before.
Yeah.
All right, guys. How come when our team is raking, put up 10 runs, the pitching terrible. The pitching, Scooble lights it up one day. You know, pitches a no-hitter through
Next
the 7th,
day it's BP for the
and we lose by 2 runs. I don't understand. See, we go to the bullpen all the time. You see Scoobles getting shelled, and it's like almost like you're laughing at him. Like you want him to get shelled. I don't know. Why would you not go to someone else? You see he's getting shelled. He gives up like 7 runs. I don't know, but that's a different story. But Torkelson, 3 for 5. 2 home runs, knocked in about 5 RBIs. He's the first player to do that since Nick Castellanos, under 23, I believe. So, or 23 and under since Nick Castellanos. So, hey, I mean, Torkelson, he looks like he's coming on the up. I hope he doesn't have another like 3 for 300 stretch like he had before. But
Mark Teixeira, right?
Right, but he's the best college hitter since Mark Teixeira. But anyway, I'm high on Torque. I'm a big Torque guy. But back to the Heisman. So I got Michael Penix, and my honorable mention is Bo Nix. My next one is gonna be Joe Milton out of Tennessee. I know Brody.
I haven't said anything. I haven't even made a face.
I know. Don't let him lie to you guys. He definitely made a face there. But Joe Milton, he's going to be this year's Anthony Richardson. You see the big arm. You see the running ability.
He's black.
And that's not what I said. That is not what I said at all. But, you know, the talent's there. You know Tennessee's going to have good receivers, and they do well with quarterbacks like they did with Hendon Hooker. So it wouldn't shock me to put up numbers. They beat Alabama last year, right? Yep. So if they do that again, anytime you beat Nick Saban, you're going to be – you're going to get all that hype. And, you know, Hendon Hooker might have had a shot to win the Heisman last year. So I don't know why that's such a hot take as it was for you guys. No, he probably would. It would have been him or Corum. Oh, but I think it would have been Corum because Corum would have been, you know, yeah. But if Corum was still hurt and Hendon Hooker didn't get hurt, it would have been Hooker's Heisman to win.
No, but Tennessee's got a really fun offense. They got, obviously, Josh Heupel, and it's one of the most quarterback-friendly systems in college football. So it's going to be pretty easy for Joe Milton to put up good numbers. And he's got, Brew McCoy and Caton Ramel on the outside. Like, they have some dynamic playmakers. I don't really hate it as much as we watch him at Michigan in a complex, hard-to-run at the time offense where you have to make a lot of pre- and post-snap reads. You know, he sucked. He's terrible. But back into an offense where he can sit back in the pocket and make really quick 1-2 progression reads, air the ball out deep. We all know he's got a fucking hose. Like, I think he's going to have success. I'm with you on there, Zane.
And I think he's going to have –
sorry, Cooper, before I go. Joe Milton, guys, is plus 2,500 odds for the Heisman. So I think that's pretty good betting odds to me, so that's why I picked him.
I don't like any betting odds because Caleb Williams exists, but yeah, I see the.
Hey, I'm just letting you know. This is dark horse, Brody.
I know.
And we saw against Clemson in the Orange Bowl last year. I mean, Joe Milton balled out, and and some of his players didn't even play. Like Hyatt declared, and Tillman didn't play that game either because he also declared for the NFL draft. And Clemson had most of their defensive guys.
I I don't think they did.
Oh, well.
They had a good amount of guys.
Kelly, you just got to keep waiting, man. I got you.
But I also made a face, but that was because, like, I wasn't expecting Joe Milton. But don't get me wrong, I am on a Joe Milton train for a dark horse Heisman candidate.
I also made a face, but it's just because I'll always be haunted at his Michigan days. So.
Yep.
So anyway, we're back. Those are 2 out of my 4. Also, I want to throw this one in as kind of an honorable mention. Blake Corum's odds is 5,000. I mean, he was in it the whole year last year. I mean, I know it's going to be JJ, but it's if I had to put a bet on, like a $10 bet on that would not be like, you wouldn't be wasting your money if you went, So that's why 5,000 to me, especially, he was in it the whole year.
I feel like the odds are really good, but I just don't see anything close to happening because Edwards is going to be fully healthy, and we know how good. I mean, I think he's more talented, and JJ as well. There's going to be they obviously run the ball a ton, but this carries are going to be split so various. Like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but they're going to get split a lot, and I just don't see. He's not going to be able to put up the yards as quarterbacks are, who are throwing the ball 40 times a game, where he might get 20 carries. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, that was just another honorable mention. So anyway, back to my real list. I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. with plus 2,500 odds.
That's way too high.
I know it's high. That's why he's my dark horse. I mean, you don't really see a lot of wide receivers win it. I mean, I know it's a joke that it's a quarterback award. They need something else. But Marvin Harrison Jr., even with Stroud leaving and Kyle McCord coming back, he's the best receiver in college football last year, and it's not going to change this year. I mean, he's going to put up numbers, especially with the teams they play in the Big Ten. They got a pretty easy schedule, but they play Michigan and Notre Dame and schools like that. But he's still going to get his. So if they end up beating Michigan this year and he's a big part about it and going to a college football playoff and winning a game and maybe getting to the national championship, I mean, he's gonna have to put up numbers to do it, and that's why I picked him for another dark horse.
I think he can, be up there with the best college wide receiver of all time, Desmond Howard. There's only 2.
Smith is just
Who?
Oh, okay.
No, Desmond Howard better. Desmond Howard, if he can come up, be as good as Desmond Howard. Hey, Desmond Howard impacted the game on special teams. All right.
I'm surprised Coop didn't say Jalen Reed.
Who? Again. But yeah, I think he might put up.
We had Charles Rogers. Bro.
He might put up 2K.
We had Plaxico Burress. He caught the game-winning touchdown pass against the undefeated Patriots, baby.
Shut up. But do you guys think Harrison can get 2K? He really might be. At 2K and 20, he wins the Heisman, and he solidified as probably the best college receiver ever.
Could he? Yes. Will he? Probably not. That offense, to me, like, there's just too many guys for him to get 2K.
Yeah, he is going to get game plan for heavily. But if you look at, like, the best teams they play against, like Will Johnson, Kalen King from Penn State, I wonder if the coordinators are going to let them play ball. Just one-on-one let them play. Because we did that for a play last year, and they threw a 50-yard touchdown on a deep fade. But with Will Johnson there instead of Jamon Green, they might play a little bit of football. But young quarterbacks also really, really rely on their best players. So I think he's going to get a good amount of targets, especially early on.
Well, and also, but like with Emeka Egbuka too, like you can't forget about him. Like he's a big threat too. Like he's going to go he's going to go pretty early in the draft this year too. So you can't just like leave him alone.
I feel like I've been pretty unbiased towards Ohio State, but I do not think Julian Fleming's that good. Yeah, we're back.
Are we back? Okay. Well, anyway, we are back. And, Brody, we have a question in the comments about the Lions trade that happened just minutes before this podcast. So I just want to get your thoughts on that before I go into my final dark horse.
Denzel Mims, baby!
Absolutely ecstatic. Like I think this is huge. I was a huge fan of him coming out of Baylor. I think he's tall, long, speed athlete. Like when we need a guy to replace Jamison Williams for the first 6 weeks, I don't know who's better. You know, I can't think of a better cheap fit. We barely had to trade anything for him. I'm absolutely in love with this.
Eagles fans wanted him over Jalen Hurts in the 2020 draft. Remember that, folks.
Denzel Mims was the right pick at the time.
All right, so you guys, I know this is definitely going to rustle some feathers, and Brody is not going to like this. Cooper might fall back in his chair. Tommy's
He
doing.
might give you a 1-2 kick in the face.
Tommy's looking like he's going to punch me, but it's going to be, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Shedeur Sanders. Out of Colorado. No, I said it. I know Brody's not going to be happy with it, but listen to these teams he plays. He plays TCU, goes to Nebraska, Oregon, USC, Utah, UCLA, and Stanford. I mean, that's a tough schedule. If he puts up numbers, and I mean, even if he loses 2 games, maybe I mean, it's just let's be honest, they're gonna get killed. But let's just say he puts up stats and numbers, and Deion is gonna just. He's gonna publicize him. He's gonna hype him up, and it's just he might get it just because he's Deion's kid. You know what I mean?
Not this year.
No.
Well, I knew that wasn't gonna be your biggest fan of a take, but I think that's pretty good. Dark horse, Heisman.
I see why you think that. One, I think he's not good enough to win the Heisman, but he's really good. I think if they had better weapons. That would make me.
Travis Hunter, the #1 recruit.
He's gonna play offense and defense. He's not gonna be a sole receiver. And who else is gonna throw the ball to? That's gonna like some of the guys we talked about earlier. LSU or not LSU, Oregon. Troy Franklin might be a first-round pick. Brew McCoy might be a day 2 pick. Like these guys are high-end wide receiver talents coming out that they're throwing the ball to, and their projected win total is like 4.5 on FanDuel, DraftKings, everywhere. They're not, if they go over that, they're not touching 9 wins. They're not touching 10 wins. You're not winning a Heisman with 9 wins anyway.
And if they go over that, that's a Heisman candidate.
No, they have to win their conference, and they're gonna get absolutely dog walked by Utah because they're not gonna be physical enough to play them. USC and Oregon are just too talented for them, and they have some other tough games. TCU is not gonna be an easy game. They have to go to Lincoln to play Nebraska. You know how hype that game's gonna be. Like these are not easy games. I know we talked about it. I just don't see them winning more than 8 games. Best case scenario.
The people wanted a dark horse, and I delivered them a dark horse. Everybody, spam that on that BetMGM right now. Shooter Sanders.
Real dark horse, Donovan Edwards for real. You want better odds than Corum, but with more upside, Donovan Edwards. Well, Zane was gonna say something, but he's not.
No, I was gonna say something, but then I decided it was a no-go.
Is this the end of your segment?
And that will conclude my dark horse segment.
All right, so it was a very good list.
Can we take a technical pause?
Technical timeout. I'm sorry, guys. Give us like 10 seconds. And we're back with a vengeance. All right. So as I've done a division preview in each of our last 2 episodes, today we're going to be division previewing the NFC South, probably the least exciting division in all of football. So are we starting out with the MVP or the awards or the records for today, guys?
Awards. People only care about the awards. These teams suck except for 2 teams are pretty good, but
There's like a hall of mid.
yeah.
The 3 best teams are all mid, and then there's the Bucks.
Yeah.
All right, so Tommy, who's your NFC South MVP this year?
It's obviously Baker Mayfield. I mean, no. I'm gonna go Derek Carr.
Okay.
I know. Last episode I stayed away from quarterbacks, but I mean, maybe if Kamara plays, he can do it. But I just see Kamara as the only real bright spot in this whole division. I mean, the Falcons' offense is good, but no one deserving of the MVP. Maybe Offensive Player of the Year.
You know, I actually gave the MVP to the best running back in the division, Bijan Robinson.
I was thinking about that, but
I think Kamara's kind of getting washed, man. There's a reason they drafted Kendre Miller and signed Jamal.
I was about to say they picked up Jamal Williams.
But seriously, he's losing some juice. He's kind of freaking me out a little bit. Cooper, who you got for your MVP?
He's not losing juice in Vegas, baby. Alvin Kamara, that is. But for my MVP, I'm just gonna go Bryce Young.
Wow.
I just want him to.
Okay.
and it just spice up everything. And I hope Bryce Young comes out first year, just balls out, and becomes top 15 quarterback in the league and becomes MVP of the NFC South.
That's very achievable for him to become top 15, I think.
10-7 Carolina Panthers coming soon.
No way.
Stop.
No chance in hell. That would be a cold day in hell before that happens. Is this MVP, Brody?
Yeah.
I would go Bijan, but just to be different, I'm gonna say Drake London. I like Drake London out of USC. I like him, man. You could say whatever you want, but big receiver, tons of upside. Drake London.
If you're gonna take receiver, the New Orleans is a way better one, with a better quarterback and a more efficient passing offense.
It's Drake London.
It's Chris Olave.
He's just not giving him the mic.
No, I'm not giving him. Just say it's Drake London. He said he's switching to Chris Olave. He's a really smart guy. All right. So for Offensive Player of the Year here, Tommy, who you got? I was in a big debate between two players.
So my hope for who this is and who I think it's going to be are two different players. I'm going to go with my hope is Kyle Pitts. Because I just want to see him succeed and have a really good year because he wasn't getting used the past couple years. But my pick is Bijan Robinson, and I don't think there's much explanation needed with that. You said him for MVP. He's already the best running back in the division, most dynamic. I don't think there's much to be said about that.
He's not as good after the catch as Kamara is, but he might be a better pass catcher, like hands, route running already than Kamara is, and that's saying something. Kamara has lost juice, but he can still catch the ball in the backfield.
But if he plays.
Same with Michael Thomas. There's a lot of question marks on that Saints team. For Offensive Player of the Year, I was between Olave and Kyle Pitts, and I ended up going with Kyle Pitts. He's too good.
He really is.
They got to use him. Arthur Smith, I was big on Arthur Smith. He's a great run game designer. He's been freaking me out in the pass game. Some of the concepts. You have a guy that's that much more athletic than everybody else on the defense, and you have to give him the ball. And it's not like he's not good at football. Again, 0 drops in college. Like, he is that guy, and they need to give him the rock. And I think he's the most talented player on the offense, including Bijan. And I don't see a world. I'm staying in the Kyle Pitts hype. He's too talented. He's too good to not produce.
I'm going with Chris Olave for the Offensive Player of the Year, and the only reason I'm picking Chris Olave is because I need Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I already picked Bryce Young as the MVP. But Chris Olave is deserving in my opinion. Great year last year, second best receiver in the rookie class behind Garrett Wilson, and I think
ahead of who? Behind Garrett Wilson, ahead of who?
I said behind him.
No, behind Garrett Wilson. Who else was he ahead of in the rookie class? That's in this division.
Drake London.
Oh, yeah. Oh, interesting.
But I expect another big year out of Chris Olave, and he does have a better quarterback. We all do love Jameis. He is for the people. And Desmond Ridder will not beat the quarterback by week 4. I'm just saying that. They will find someone. They'll have Trey Young throw a pass week 4 after Desmond Ridder. And so I expect Chris Olave to just have another year. We all love Jameis, but Derek Carr is a better thrower and passer, so Chris Olave will have more.
Clearly it's Drake London. This guy is a 6'4" receiver, red zone. Oh, yeah, he's my offense. If you win the MVP, you're putting up offensive numbers. It's Drake London. He's 6'4". He runs good routes. He's a red zone target for Desmond Ridder. What else does a quarterback like Desmond Ridder, Baker Mayfield-esque and getting out of the league as fast as he can, want? He wants a big-bodied receiver like Drake London.
Like Kyle Pitts. Drake London also can't run good routes, and he said that. So I want you to disregard everything that dude just said.
No.
Disregard it.
He's worked on it, man. Watch him this year.
Drake London was picked over Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave for a reason.
That's part of the reason I absolutely hated that pick is because they took him over Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
He's so much better.
That has to be for a reason. I'm just saying.
Who won Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
Hey,
who was third?
He had Marcus.
I can't hear that. Bro, he had Zach Wilson. He had Zach Wilson. Mike White. You're poor, Mom. I'm trying to go to sleep. All right. So for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I took Bijan, so I had to take Bryce Young. That was a pretty easy one. But what about you, Tom?
So, yeah, I feel like the obvious answer would be Bryce Young, but I'm going to go with his receiving threat. Oh. I'm going to go with Jonathan Mingo. I think he's going to I think that was one of the better picks in the draft, and I think he's gonna have a great year with Bryce Young throwing to him.
Yeah, we know how high I was on Jonathan Mingo coming out. I'm really excited to see what he can do.
I also like that pick, Tom. Ole Miss receivers in the last 5 years have shown that they are really good receivers in the NFL. And then
Lane Kiffin, baby.
that Lane Kiffin system, baby. But obviously, Bijan. I mean, no, I don't really need to say much. Everyone loves Bijan here. Everyone's already pointed at it, and he's my clear offensive rookie of the year.
He's one of my top 20 favorite players in the league, and he hasn't played a single snap yet. That's all I'm gonna say. Yes.
Oh, I'm going Bryce Young. I mean, it's just it's a quarterback ward, so I'm going with him. No explanation needed. I mean, Bryce Young could go out and win 3 games, and some people would still hype him up for that. I mean, it's Bryce Young.
Can I be honest? I thought you were gonna say that Drake London was gonna reclassify to become a rookie, and then you're gonna pick him for Rookie of the Year.
So Drake London is going to reclassify this year and become a rookie, and he will be the offensive Rookie of the Year. So, but if he doesn't do that, decides not to, it's going to be Bryce Young. But watch out for Drake London.
Bryce isn't gonna beat out Matt Corral. You know what? That's actually a W take. Ole Miss legend, Lane Kiffin legend, Matt Corral is gonna beat out Bryce Young and be the QB1. Hell yeah. Yes, sir. I'm in on this.
Hop on the train.
There's nothing wrong with Matt Corral train.
We're blowing choo-choos like LSU, Keishawn Butte, and their cheerleaders right now. Let's go.
Yes.
There's 2 trains we're riding this year: the Seahawks and the Matt Corral train.
Yes, sir.
And Drake London.
All right, so for MVP,
For Drake London to just have an offensive player of the year this year, and we're just making fun of Zane, and then it's just gonna bite back.
I won't be on the podcast. I will be on it. I'm not joining that one. For MVP for the defense, this actually has some talented defensive players. So this is a really hard group to pick from.
It is hard.
Tommy, who do you have? They thought. Oh, sorry about that. They thought that Drake London played defense for a second, so the mic cut out. We're gonna give it to Zane.
So when Drake London plays both sides of the ball like he is going to be this year, it will be him. But I'm going to go with Brian Burns. I mean, dude's a menace off the edge. He just torched the Lions. He always torches Taylor Decker, too. Just torched us last year. I mean, I really like his game. He's a player. I'm going with him.
He might be the most fun edge rusher to watch. Not the best, but like the bend, speed. Oh my God.
The jerseys, the colors, the number 99. Brian Burns is him, and the face mask. He's a dog.
But the way he's so, whenever he wins so fast and fluid. It's art. It's art.
It is.
That was very gay. I'm sorry.
It is. And for my defensive MVP, it's tough, but I expect a bounce back year from Devin White. I think.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with Devin White?
Most overrated linebacker in the league. He's going to get overpaid, and there's a reason the Bucs aren't paying him. He's not even an average linebacker anymore.
Would you take him over Malcolm Rodriguez?
For the season, I'd probably take Devin White. For the future, I'm taking Malcolm Rodriguez.
What about Jack Campbell?
I'm taking Jack Campbell for a season.
Man, because I know you hated that Jack Campbell pick.
It was still a terrible pick. We're not going to get into that. He's better than Devin White for a season. I swear to God he is.
But I'm expecting a bounce back year from Devin White this year, and he pulls a defensive MVP for the NFC South. And we're on to Tommy. Tommy, who is yours?
Wait, who'd you say? Did I just? Oh, you said yeah.
It's Devin White. I'm
my
gonna stick
bad.
with Devin White. That's gonna be my hot take.
Yes.
So I was between. I had a couple guys. I was thinking Levante David, Brian Burns, Lattimore,
I wanted Brian Burns.
Lattimore, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. Like, there's a lot of good. Jesse Bates, Grady Jarrett,
Oh yeah.
AJ Terrell.
That's dude.
Like, there's actually some defensive talent in this NFC South. But for my pick, I went with the best corner in the division, and I took Marshawn Lattimore.
J.C. Horn.
For a team, No, Lattimore's better. Horn
He
was
could be defensive rookie of the year for how much he's
Lattimore
injured.
went to Ohio State, right?
yes.
Oh, J.C. Warren.
No,
South
Marshawn
Carolina
Lattimore
merchant.
with Dennis Allen's defense, how much they play straight up man to man. He might not put up a ton of stats, but he's gonna lock down the team's best receiver. He's one of the few corners in the league that actually travels side to side.
Oh, yeah.
He's legit. I think J.C. Horn's an absolute beast, but I think he was a little absolute beast is a little high. He was a little overrated last year. He was really good, but he wasn't as good as other people say. Cody, yes sir, Lattimore shout out. Let's go. He's one of my players. He's top 20 favorite player of mine, and I have to give it to him. And I think Tommy actually has a really good pick here.
So I'm gonna give a little shout out to our guest we had on the past couple episodes, and Christian Field, big Bucks fan. I'm gonna go Vita Vea. That dude is a monster. He is. He's like you can double. He's like I don't want to say Aaron Donald because no one's like Aaron Donald, but like you have to game plan for him, and you're still not gonna stop him. He's just an absolute dog.
Vita Vea will be the only player to stop the Eagles on their 4th and 1 play. That's all I'm going to say. So I like the pick.
Have you ever seen The Longest Yard where the guy's like, he's a Coke machine with legs? That's Vita Vea.
Yeah, we need Squatowski. That is Vita Vea.
I took Lattimore over Terrell. Terrell had I think his peak season was as good as one of Lattimore's peak seasons, and he's probably been better the last 2 years, or like marginally better. But I think Lattimore's been more. He's been better for longer, and that's the reason I'm going with Lattimore.
Yeah. Also, on the Vita Vea pick, I've been getting into Madden a little more recently, and I came across a Bucks team, and this is before I was starting to get a little more serious, but the user D-lined Vita Vea and just bull rushed my center every time and gave me no time in the pocket, and I think I got killed that game against the Bucks. So.
Yeah. So for my defensive player of the year, for these we try and go with positions that aren't like edge or corner, not like premium positions. So like interior defensive line, linebackers, safety. You could go with anybody, but that's what I try and do. So I'm gonna take Demario Davis.
Okay, yeah.
It was between him or Levante David or Jesse Bates. That was the three, and I was just, I think Davis is a little better than David, and Saints bias. I'm taking the Saints. I'm taking Demario Davis, and he's a top 5 linebacker of the league, and he produces like one. Even though he's 33, he doesn't really show signs of regression, which is kind of surprising to me. Zane, who do you have here for Defensive Player of the Year?
I'm gonna have to go with another Panther. I'm gonna say J.C. Horn. I just love J.C. Horn. I don't really have another explanation besides I just love him so much. Like, he's a good player.
Okay, just a question for you. Out of curiosity, do you think Horn, Terrell, Lattimore, can you rank those 1 through 3 for me? Not judging, just genuinely curious.
Like, okay, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna go Lattimore, Horn, Terrell.
I understand.
And that's just what it is for me.
I'm with it.
I would agree with J.C. Horn. He just hasn't played too much. He hasn't played enough for me to give him over Terrell, but I can totally see him. I'm going to go Jesse Bates. I completely forgot that Jesse Bates was on the Atlanta Falcons because of everything that's happened in the NFL. But Jesse Bates is, I honestly think, the second best safety. No, third best safety in the league. And that gives you enough for the Defensive Player of the Year of this division.
So now for mine, this is the other guy I was debating for my defensive MVP. I'm going Cam Jordan. I know Brody said he's trying to stay away from like the star positions like edge and corners and all that. But like he's just no
Defensive Player of the
yeah.
Year.
But yeah, just also a little yeah, it's hard to go against him, and also a little Saints bias for me. So, but Cam Jordan's just him.
I kind of forgot you got a little bit of Saints fan in you, but and I think I'll give
Williams guy or what? No.
I'll give Cam Jordan a little bit more praise because he's not like your prototypical only pass rushing edge. He's one of the best edge setting run defenders in the NFL. But I'm kind of surprised a couple guys that didn't really get talked about, Derek Brown and Grady Jarrett. Like, I know I mentioned Grady Jarrett earlier, but if you look at like the defensive tackles, aside from the Saints' abysmal interior defensive line room, Grady Jarrett, Derek Brown, Vita Vea, like this is a really, really talented NFC South. And I don't know how good a lot of these teams will be, but they got a fun future. And for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think there's only really a couple guys you could pick from, and I took Kalijah Kancey because of his pass rush impact immediately. Hey, if you think it's Kalijah, just make me sound even better by agreeing with me. We both make we both make each other sound better.
I was also going to pick Kalijah Clancy. I did a lot of film on him because I thought the Lions were going to possibly take him at 17 or wherever we were, but obviously that didn't happen. Or 18. I really liked him, so I'm going to have to go with him as well.
I'm going to go on a limb here, not really on a limb. I'm going to say Brian Bresee is going to be better as a rookie and have a better career, but Kancey, with the sacks he's going to get, is going to put up better stats, especially with Vita Vea drawing a lot of the attention. He's going to put up better stats than Bresee will his rookie year.
I 100% agree with you, Brody. I really thought that Kalijah Kancey was the one we were taking, and then we selected Jack Campbell, and that completely shook me. I really thought we were going with Kancey because that was all the buzz going around. Honestly, I could have saw him taking us wherever we took. Was it 6 or no? We traded. We traded back. We were at 6, right? Yeah. But I could have saw us taking there. That was all the noise. There's no Jalen Carter, but yes, to Kalijah Kancey. So I really thought he was the move. And when we took Jack Campbell, I actually thought he said Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you guys already know how big of a Jigba guy I am. So I was like, yeah, and then I heard the rest. I was like, oh, dang.
I actually would have been more mad at the Njigba pick than the Jack Campbell pick.
I just love Njigba. I mean, I think he's going to be a great wide receiver in the NFL. So that's why I thought it was him.
And then for my defensive rookie of the year for this division, everyone picks Kancey, but I'm going to go Brian Bresee. Brian Bresee, number 1 recruit coming out of high school, and he was having an amazing college career until life got ahead of him. And when his sister passed away, that's
what happened.
It affected him mentally, rightfully so. I mean, your best friend and your sister passed away. But I expect him to come in the NFL, right? He's going to get paid. He's going to be like, I'm going to do this for my sister. And he's just going to be an absolute dog.
Asking a college kid to go through all that and then still perform on a football field, that's just – I felt so bad for him. So we do have a question. So we just finished the awards. Before we get into the record predictions, I will answer. Hendon Hooker was mentioned when talking about the Vols, and Brody's an absolute Holmes hater. Please spell my name right next time. And in Holmes we trust. How does he feel about the pick? I'm not a Holmes hater by any means. I just think this draft was an absolute abysmal disaster. I think everybody else besides Zane will say I've never really hated on Holmes until this draft. I just hated on the one draft.
I can agree.
I would agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't want to hear that because I know you're gonna say. I'm like the media right now. I'm censoring who I don't want to hear from.
Oh.
Yeah. That was.
He's like CNN right now. Okay.
Well, we're gonna get political. That's my fault. I think it was an absolutely abysmal pick. I think drafting quarterback where you had it. What are you doing? I'm just gonna go on a rant here. So you have Jared Goff. You have to build. Shut up. Bad.
Certified dog.
You have to build. You have to literally You have to build the best possible team around them to win a Super Bowl. Or if you don't have this significantly better team than the guys you're going to play coming out of the AFC or like the Eagles, you're never going to win anything. And you have a chance to trade up for Anthony Richardson, make a move for a guy that can become a franchise quarterback for you, but instead you trade down, and then you're stuck in quarterback purgatory of just mid. You just have average. Hendon Hooker's ceiling is average, above average, like
25 years old.
Like slightly above average. Jared Goff is right now. So if Hendon Hooker comes in and plays, he's your Jared Goff replacement. Great, he's cheaper, but he's not an improvement. Like, you're trying to get out of quarterback purgatory and win a Super Bowl, and you do that. So this is what confuses me. I'm just gonna go on a rant here about this whole draft. If you're there, they said without taking a quarterback that they're gonna try and build the best possible team they can build. Why would you spend your first 3 draft picks on 4 of the least valuable positions in all of football? It makes no sense. Like you have to. You're gonna have to overspend on edge. You're gonna have to overspend on corner to compensate for what you did in the draft because it was a fucking disaster.
Not to mention there were better or higher ceiling quarterbacks available, like Dorian Thompson from UCLA. I would have much rather had him. And Hendon Hooker played in one of the most college-friendly systems in the entire college football, just in general. Like that's not gonna translate into the NFL. He was not in an NFL friendly system. I wouldn't say QB purgatory golf is arguably the 10th best. Okay, we're not even gonna get started on that because we're gonna be going for an hour and a half.
No, we're really not going to talk about that. I love you to death, Cody, but we can't even address comments that make that little of sense. I love you, but
say Goth's 10th best?
no.
I don't necessarily.
No, it was
Our mic cuts out every time there's a stupid comment. So.
Yeah, that's why Zane's, Drake London, and that Hendon Hooker's also 25, coming off an ACL injury. So, just from that, like, I just want to puke. And that I already went on my rant about.
Backup, dude. He's a good backup.
Yeah, let's spend a third-round pick on a backup. Well, we spent a third-round pick on a backup nose tackle too. So might as well get a backup quarterback instead.
Not just any backup nose tackle, a backup nose tackle from what is it called?
Kentucky.
Yeah, Western Kentucky.
Was that Ika on the board?
Yes.
I don't know. I love Siaki.
Me too. All right. So for my division projections.
Siaki Ika for that guy.
Oh yeah, I went into watching his film and I'm like, dude, you know what? Maybe Brad Holmes is him. He found a gem, and I was like, oh fuck, never mind. About 20 plays in. So I have the Saints winning the division at 9-8. Then I have the Falcons second in the division at 8-9. The Panthers with 7-10 third. Bucks at 4-13. I don't think the Bucks are they're not that bad. They got a lot of talent on defense. If they have,
Baker will win them a game. Like he has confidence. The throws he makes, he can run a little bit. His confidence will win them like 1 or 2 games. But like you guys,
he's gonna lose them a lot more.
He's gonna lose them a lot more.
But regarding that, or disregarding that, like the offensive line, Wirfs is going to go from right tackle to left tackle. We know how hard of a transition that's been for some people. Aside from Wirfs and Jensen, I don't really know who to trust on their offensive line. Godwin's good. Evans is getting old. He's been regressing. They really don't have a wide receiver to 3. Otten's maybe league average at tight end. Defensively, they got a lot of good players, but they have no depth. If they get one injury in the secondary, then you're calling Zion McCollum your CB2. And I think we're going into issues where they might barely – I don't know how they're going to get stops, and they're not going to score a ton. We'll see. But I really don't think the team's that bad. If they can stay healthy, they're really not that bad. And I do think the Saints, if they do win, they're gonna whoever wins is getting bounced first round by either the Eagles or the Cowboys, and it's probably going to be like an ugly game because they're so much better than them. Tommy, I want to hear your predictions.
Yeah, even though I like I mentioned earlier, have a little bit of a Saints bias, I think they are the best team in the division. Followed by the Falcons, just because that heavy-powered offense. I think they're a quarterback away from doing good things. Carolina has a lot to prove. I like where you have them there, and then just the Bucks. That's all that needs to be said.
There's a chance Carolina might have like the lowest point differential because they're going to lose a bunch of games by like 5 or 6 points because they play such good defense, and that keeps them in a bunch of the games that they are going to be playing.
And it is Carolina season over here in Coops land. The Panthers are going 10-7 this year. I don't even care. They're going to be the 4th seed in the NFC. They're going to beat the Cowboys in North Carolina, and they're going to lose in the divisional round. The reason is the film on the offense, no one's going to know what to do because they aren't going to be able to stop them.
Nobody's seen a Frank Reich-led offense before. They're going to have absolutely no clue what's going on.
Nope, they aren't.
Not even the offense.
Nope.
Offense not even gonna know what's going on.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, he's going to finish top 10 in the MVP voting this year because the Carolina Panthers are going to go 10-7, beat the Cowboys in the wild card, and lose in the divisional round.
See, notice how I just say I think Drake London's going to have a good year, and everyone's like, oh my God, what the hell? What kind of take is that? He thinks Bryce Young's going to finish top 10 in MVP voting.
Hey, man, I haven't got the mic yet.
Okay, that's fair. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Keep talking.
I have absolutely nothing to say. It's Carolina season over here.
All right. I am not going to go with Carolina season. I don't mean to rain on Coop's Carolina parade, but I'm going to go with the Saints. I think it's their division to lose, and, I mean, they brought in Derek Carr, so I really don't really see a situation with them losing. And, Brody, I'm going to have to get your thoughts on Cooper's comments, too.
What the fuck? I think 10-7 is a little bit rich, especially for the Panthers. Bryce Young, top 10 MVP. You know what? I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
It's not awful.
It's possible, but it's fucking not possible. So I have to say that for Zane.
Well, after Bryce Young gets hurt after like week 2, I don't think he's going to be in the MVP voting.
Hey, they got a really good offensive line up there. So I have a comment here.
One hit and he's done.
As long as Derek Carr doesn't play Derek Carr. See, that's the issue, right? Like David Carr. Derek Carr was really freaking good. Like, he was a little bit worse, I would say, than Dak Prescott. He was in the same tier, a little bit worse than Dak for like the last 3-4 seasons.
He's like 11-12. Best quarterback.
And then last year, he just totally shit the bed, man. Like
With a better receiver.
Well, coaching was we don't know if it was McDaniel's fault yet or if it was Carr's fault. But if he can return to form, this is definitely their division to lose or to win. It's their division to lose because they should win. Yeah, my bad on that wording there. But if they don't, I can definitely see another team taking it from him if he just comes out and doesn't play well. And this also really resides on can Alvin Kamara have a short suspension and play well when he comes back? Can Cam Jordan not regress? Can Demario Davis not regress? Can their interior defensive line summon something to not suck? Because it's pretty bad right now. Can another edge step up besides Cameron Jordan? And can Michael Thomas stay healthy? Can any
Can he get healthy first?
Can an interior offensive lineman at the guard position like step up? Can Trevor Penning be good? There are a lot of question marks surrounding this team.
Trevor Penning.
And I'm like, honestly, this is gonna be terrible. If everything goes right, this could be a 12-win team. If everything goes wrong, they might not scrape 5. So it's a very polarizing Saints team we have going on right here.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier, like when we did. I think it was the first episode when we did our rankings. How much question we had around the Saints. It's just gonna be very, very iffy and kind of fun to see.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. I don't have much else to say. Do any of Zane Cooper anything? Well, we're gonna pass the mic on to Tommy to finish us off with his hockey segment. This is a segment I'm really excited to look into. I value his hockey opinion very highly, and I'm super excited to see what he has to say. Yeah, I agree with you, Cody.
So I'm doing a kind of tier list on all the NHL teams. When we did this earlier, it took like an hour to get through all the teams. So I'm going to try to go quickly. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. My tier list. I'm going to get that pulled up now. So this is my list. I'm going to start from the bottom, work my way up. Coyotes and Blackhawks. No question. Sorry, Cooper. I know you guys got Bedard.
Oh no, we suck.
This team still sucks. I don't even know if Arizona's going to be in Arizona by the end of the season. So enough said about them. Next up,
No hate there at all whatsoever.
Next up, the Ducks. I really like their future. I think they're really close, but I think this is going to be another year for them to get a lottery pick and improve. Flyers really like their draft this year. I think it really fits their window. Mitchkoff's going to be coming in right as they're ready to go. Bright future.
What the hell is going on with the Canucks? How'd they have this much young talent and then not develop any of it, and now they're in D tier 3 years after we thought they could be making a cup push?
Yeah, I don't know. This is a lot of question mark team. They have a lot of really good talent and can be really good. They're just not. They're really not. Thatcher Demko thought he was him. Played like crap. Brock Besser thought he was the next Ovechkin. He's not. Next up, got the Canadians. A couple years ago, they were in the Stanley Cup final. Somehow.
Making a push for 24.
Yeah, kind of like what they're doing. Little question around their pick last year. But yeah, they're gonna have a bright future too. Columbus got a lot of a very bright future. A lot of Michigan boys in there. So gotta love them, even though they're from Ohio. Next up, San Jose. They're getting really good. They're almost on. I think they are like the brink between D and C tier. They're okay, but they're not like terrible, but they're not good. So I'm gonna pass around, see if anyone has any remarks on what I've done so far.
I mean, I agree. I really do agree. I don't think. I mean, maybe like a couple team flops, but that's not like something I'm going to point out. I will have to make a couple comments here in the next two teams.
Yeah, Tommy. Again, I don't know much about hockey, but this list looks pretty doggone good for the little I know.
Cooper actually knows more than everybody else in the world about hockey, and he's agreeing with Tommy. That should tell you something.
Yeah, that is right.
And we're not even going to go to Zane because, like me in basketball, Zane knows nothing about hockey.
He knows who Connor McDavid is.
The next two teams, I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. Two teams that ran the NHL not too long ago, the Penguins and the Capitals. They're just aging teams, and it's their turn to go back to the bottom. Two very well coached teams. They're gonna be back to the top very shortly, but it's just their time to go.
If the Capitals trade Alexander Ovechkin for a rebuild, for rebuilding purposes, the things they will do, you do not understand the vengeance I will wish upon that organization. Now, John Carlson, Tom Wilson, I mean, probably keep Kuznetsov because he's young. If you want to trade some of these guys for picks to try and start the rebuild, I get it. You cannot trade Alexander Ovechkin. He's not your future, but he was your future at one point. He was your star. He's the best player you ever had in your franchise. If you trade him, I don't know. The next team, flip at least my biggest gripe, flip them with the Penguins because I don't give a flying fuck about the Penguins. I despise this old, aging, worthless team. Crybaby bitch boy Crosby, Mo Sider's son, isn't going to do shit. I'm getting actually pissed talking about this fucking team.
Okay, to talk about Ovechkin really quick, he's two or three seasons away from the goal record. I think he stays till then. But he's just had as much as we hate Crosby, those two guys ran the NHL, and they've both had incredible careers.
Ovechkin's the best goal scorer ever. I agree with you, Zane.
Next up, the Flames. I think they can be higher. I think they have a very talented roster. But with what they did last year, I can't put them above these next three teams, especially with the moves they've made. All three of these teams have made in the offseason.
I have to say the Flames are B tiers just because of some of the people we met in Mexico that were from Calgary, and they are a talented team. Why did they underperform so much last year?
I don't know. That's a great question because was it Jacob Markstrom? Yeah, Jacob Markstrom. He's a great goalie. I think he was not a Vezina finalist, but he was in contention. They traded Kachuk, but they did get Huberdeau
and Mackenzie Weegar.
And Weegar. I think Weegar didn't perform too well.
No, he didn't.
So, but Huberdeau's still really nice. I don't know. I like him, but I just can't put him any higher right now. The Blues, since winning that Stanley Cup in 2019, really haven't done much, but they still have a very good future. Binnington can still be him at sometimes, even though he's got the attitude. Robert Thomas, great player. Jordan Kyrou, great player. This team's very good. The Jets, simply because of Hellebuck. And did they get rid of Kyle Connor?
Not yet.
If Kyle Connor stays, Kyle Connor. I think Blake Wheeler left though, didn't he?
I think so. But they got Sheffley still.
Mark Scheifele?
Yeah. I said it wrong. That's
So the Jets are simply here because of Hellebuck, pretty much. Predators. They made some moves. I forgot who they added, but they recently added someone. UC Saros is a top 10 goalie, maybe even top 5. Yeah, if you want to go there. Matt Duchene, even old, he's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean what Tommy said. This team is carried by 4 players: Yossi, Saros, Duchene, and Forsberg. And if they had like any supporting cast like the Knights had last year with just like a depth room of team, they probably could be cup contenders.
Absolutely. Moving on, even though there's an argument to be said to make these to make the Sabres higher just because of the offense, I simply think it was only because of Tage Thompson. I mean, this team's an F tier if it's not because of Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson's just him.
Let's talk about another team that's carried by a couple players. Not just Tage Thompson, but Rasmus Dahlin.
Right, yeah.
Absolute freaking stud. As much as I do not like the Sabres, I love watching that guy play. That kid can skate, he can score, he can pass. He's just an offensive demon.
We got a comment. I think Tom Wilson is too hated league-wide to be traded. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of like unneeded hate. I mean, I get it. He's a little bit dirty, but he is also a great player. I think teams might be scared to bring him in because he might be a cancer. But people forget, like, he can actually put up some points and could be valuable to teams.
I see what you're saying. I think he's hated fan-wide, but I agree with Tommy. He's a really good player, and straight up, I don't think the GMs care that the fans hate him because the GMs are there to win a cup, and if you need players like Tom Wilson on your team to win a cup, and not as only is he your typical goon that's gonna fight for your captain, he'll score. As Tommy said, like he'll get you points. He's not just a third, fourth liner that's only there because he's physical. Like he's actually a talented hockey player.
So next up, I have the Kings, and talk about a team coming out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, like what happened last year, but I honestly I enjoyed it. Like this was a fun team to watch in the regular season and into the postseason. So I'm just excited to see if they can keep up what they did.
Yeah, hypothetically, if you were down like $100 on the day and had a West Coast game that you had to bet on to make your money back and you hit the over, the Kings were always playing and they were always hypothetically coming through.
Yeah, it's just they just came out of nowhere and it was really fun. Next, a team that's always in the middle of the pack, the Minnesota Wild. You just never know what they're going to do. They're either on the outside looking in or on the inside getting bounced in the first round. So they're just always going to be in the middle for me. Yeah, I don't think there's much explanation. There's nothing exciting to say about them.
Kirill Kaprizov, the rest of your franchise is mid.
Yeah, once again, talking about guys like little guys carrying your team. Kirill Kaprizov, what a guy. Yeah. Next up, the Islanders. I'm personally high on the Islanders. I was really disappointed in them last year. But with that being said, they do have a good team. They just locked up Sorokin again. He's a really good goalie. They have some good offensive talent, decent defensive talent, decent depth. I think they can be a team that shocks some teams this year. I think they make the playoffs this year in a very tough Eastern Conference. Next up, we have the highly offensive powered Ottawa Senators. Not really anymore. But you still just can't. I really don't know what to say about the Senators because it looked like they were getting ready to go make a playoff push.
But they got worse.
And then they got worse. So it's tough with them. So whether they're going back to a rebuild or wanting to make a push, I don't know.
I will say this team kind of out-physicaled us when we played them last year, and straight up kicked our ass. But this gets me excited about the Comfort signing, the Hall signing, the Sprong signing. Is that we got some guys that come in and they're gonna hit some mofos, and they're not gonna get pushed around like we did last year. And that's what kind of excites me. Would you say that the physicality aspect that we're bringing in is the reason we're ahead of the Senators?
Yeah, and the physicality and the scoring. I think the offense did get worse in Ottawa, and the physicality that the Red Wings already had, and then the additions on top of it, it's just better. So
their goalie play still sucks.
Yeah, it has. So, yeah, Cody, I think that's the one bright spot on those Penguins teams was Marc-Andre Fleury. That's just a guy you can't hate. You have to love Marc-Andre Fleury. And come on.
I really did. I will have to say, I really did like watching Alexander Ovechkin score goals on him. That was one of my favorite things to do in my free time.
So next up, the Detroit Red Wings. They've done everything they needed to do. Really, Yzerman's proving time in and time out that he is him. The only guy I think any of us can really trust blindly, even against Brad Holmes, Cody.
Let Brad Holmes cook.
They're going to be such a fun team to watch this year. I think the DeBrincat signing gets them into the playoffs. I don't think they go far in the playoffs, but it gets them into the playoffs, and that's a step. So,
and that's what fucking excites me, man. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. If somebody wasn't trying to sleep like 10 feet away from us, I would have yelled, "Woo!" when we announced the Red Wings at the 10th best team in the league. Top 10. It's been so long. But what excites me is look what the Panthers did. They were 8 seed. They got in the playoffs. The Red Wings, it could happen.
No, hockey.
It could happen.
Is the ultimate. Just get in and you have a chance. And even as a person who really only watches the hockey playoffs, I know that. So.
Especially with the physicality we added to compete better in the playoffs. Like we get in, and we know how rough it is to play in Detroit. And I'm just gonna tell you, Tom and I will be spending a lot of our paychecks to go to Detroit and watch this team play some puck.
Even Coop will make an appearance in Little Caesars Arena for Hockey Town.
Oh shit!
So the one thing I want to point out is that out of all the teams and from B to S tier, there are 4 Western Conference teams.
Sad.
So that just shows how tough the Eastern Conference is, and that could be a reason Detroit maybe doesn't make it is because of how good the Eastern Conference is. But I expect them to make it this year. He is not the Brad Holmes of the NHL because Brad Holmes is still a little bit unproven.
He's the Howie Roseman of the NHL.
All right, next up, I have another team that really came out of nowhere last year, but I think no one's really mad at it. I think this was a very fun team to watch in the Seattle Kraken. I think they didn't really get better, they didn't really get worse. So I think they're going to get back to the playoffs, especially with a weaker Western Conference, and they're just going to be very exciting.
Dare I say the Red Wings are better?
I don't know. I can't say so because I think the roster overall in Seattle might be a little bit better with Beniers. Who's the goalie? Their goalie's pretty decent.
I know.
I can't put a name to him right now.
And after taking out the Avalanche,
Is it Grubauer?
It might be Grubauer.
after
Yeah.
taking out the Avalanche in the playoffs, defending Stanley. Well, not defending anymore, but 2022 Stanley Cup champions. I don't think we can put the Red Wings above the Kraken yet.
But the thing is the Kraken have a deeper team, a more complete team, but we have the 3 best players. I think Seider, Larkin, DeBrincat are better than anybody that the Kraken can roll out on the ice with us, and that's what gets me excited.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. But moving on, the Devils. I know we're supposed to not like them, but the Devils are just keep getting better. Jack Hughes is proving why he was the number 1 overall pick and proving all of his haters wrong. I'm gonna have a hot take. I think he's gonna be a top 3 player in the league next year. I think it goes McDavid, McKinnon, Hughes. I think that's the top 3 right there. I think he's gonna put up 110 plus points, and the Devils are gonna be a serious team to watch out for.
The Tank will love to hear that.
What about Cale Makar? Because he'd be my number 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really put defensemen. I get there's exceptions with Cale Makar and maybe Carlson last year, but I think they're around that 5-6 range just because the offensive players in this league just make them look stupid.
Okay.
And there's no doubt in Cale Makar's defensive ability, but I think it's a little overhyped. I think his offensive ability really shines.
You can't speak on how good it is.
Right, he's probably the best offensive defenseman in the league, but I think his defensive side of his play is a little overhyped.
No, my big question and the question mark for Devils fans: how consistent will the goalie play be this year? Because that'll tell you if they can win a cup or not, and how good they'll be. Another thing how will they be able to replace Ryan Graves with Simon Nemec or another one of the young prospects?
That's just a question that's going to have to be answered if someone can step up. I think they had some older goalies last year. I don't know what they did at the goalie position if they addressed it. But you might just have a situation where you're like the Avalanche and just play through it. Like when the Avalanche won their cup, Grubauer, he didn't have the best stats, but the Avalanche were just so stacked they won the cup anyways. Or Kemper, yeah.
Better than what they have.
Yeah.
They also don't have a Cale Makar.
But yeah, Nemec. Yeah.
Everybody needs a
Nemec, I'm hoping can take that, or I'm not hoping because I'm not a Devils fan, but I think he can take that next step to really help him out. And yeah, so this is gonna be a tough team. I don't care that it's 11:30. It's actually only 11:20, so get over it. You're still watching, so
Edvinsson or Nemec?
I'm gonna have to. That's tough. I'm gonna have to go Nemec right now, just because Edvinsson for the future. I think Edvinsson's upside's better, but just Nemec right now. Okay. And then the Stars. This is an aging team, but you have Ottinger. I think he's another top 5 goalie in the league and can really carry this team. But Brody's saying top 2, but I think he has a little Stars bias here. But yeah. Curious to hear how do you guys think the rebuilds of the Lions and the Wings compare, both seemingly on the right track? Is one team looking more optimistic than the other? Yes, the Red Wings are significantly higher than the Lions. I'd say the Lions are making the right steps, but Yzerman is literally following a rubric step by step. He's building the Tampa Bay Lightning over and over again, but it's just better.
Fieldsy, we do know how you have work at 6 a.m. We had to go later tonight because some of us had stuff early on in the day, and then Tommy had to work until 9. That's why, and we started at 10. That's why we went later tonight. But we really do appreciate you being in here this late, knowing you have work at 6 a.m. So, Cody, to answer your question, Red Wings rebuild, they're kind of comparable, but I think this was the big year you look at it. The Red Wings had a chance to make their move to try and take a leap. Obviously, they're a little behind the Lions in terms of production. Future talent, they're ahead. And then the Lions had their chance to make a leap, make a splash, and they failed, and the Red Wings didn't. And I think that's the biggest difference between them.
So, and one thing I saw is that a lot of NHL GMs build and NFL GMs build for a Stanley Cup or a Super Bowl for 1 year. Yzerman's building a dynasty. So, and that's going to take longer than building for only one championship. So, and he's just doing everything right, and I just can't say enough good things about him. All right, next up, the Bruins. I think once again they're an aging team, but there's no doubting their talent, but they are on the down. I think this year was a fluke, and I think the playoffs showed it. Next up,
Jason Robertson's going to be the third best player in the league this year. That's my hot take.
I love that hot take. Jason Robertson is a great player. Asian Gretzky.
Gretzky's going to lead the league in goals.
But he's not going to be better than Jack Hughes. I'm sorry.
You're right. He's going to be better than Connor McDavid.
Next up, I don't want to talk about this team too much because I don't like them. It's the Leafs. They always make the playoffs. They always get bounced. Enough said. Next, the Rangers. Shesterkin. Patrick Kane, maybe. Tarasenko, maybe. Lafreniere has a lot to prove. Capo has a lot to prove. This is a really bright team, but this has a lot of question marks around it as well.
So I feel like this is a weird team because they kind of put all their chips in one basket to win a Stanley Cup in the last 2 years while maintaining a really good future for the next 5, but they're never going to be super good in the next 2 or 3. So it's a high variance team real quick. And I think they're carried by Adam Fox and Shesterkin because I don't think this team's really super talented. They're well coached. They don't have any bad players, but they don't have a bunch of superstars. Adam Fox and Shesterkin really make this team what they are.
And honestly, I kind of think that's the way that the Red Wings are going. I mean, you can say maybe Larkin and DeBrincat's a superstar. Mo Seider may be a superstar, but they don't have a McDavid. They don't have a Makar. I mean, Seider's a close thing to Makar, but he doesn't really have that offensive side that Makar does. So you can kind of say that's how the Red Wings are going, but they have a lot of young guys that could turn into stars. Like Raymond could take the next step. Edvinson could take the next step. Casper can take the next step. There's so much more guys that can take the next step that I don't know. It's weird. But yeah.
Crosby's a fraud, overrated player, most overrated player in NHL history.
Next up, the Avalanche. They still have a lot of pieces from that Cup team, but they're only getting worse. And I think maybe at the end of the year they're in the B-C tier. But they have Makar, they have McKinnon, they have Devontae's, they have Mikko Rantanen, they have Landeskog. They still have all the pieces to do it. But it's a question of if they can stay healthy and if the rest of the team can keep up. Next up, the Florida Panthers. They showed a lot this year. Crosby over Michael Jordan. No.
I have to say, I think this is a little high in the Panthers. I think this is overvaluing their postseason run, and that's why they're 4. I know you have to value, but they were still the 16th best team in the league. And the Avalanche, if they can find the pieces around them, I think they were the best team in the West last year. I know they lost. I know they got bounced first round into the Kraken. I still think they were the best team going into the playoffs. Anything could happen with them.
So let's just say that they carry the momentum from this year into next year. Bob still plays incredible. I think Matthew Tkachuk can be a top 5 player in the league, and he put that up points wise. He put up top 5 player points wise last year. He's a gritty guy. He kind of has a Tom Wilson. He likes to get on people's skin, but he's also a superstar. He's incredible.
So you're expecting a Cincinnati Bengals season for the Panthers this year?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I expect big things, but do we really expect them to win the Cup? Probably not. Okay. The Oilers, I mean, where can you put them any lower with McDavid and Draisaitl on your team? I mean, who cares if they don't have a goalie? I mean, Stuart Skinner, he's still young, still shows some promise. Darnell Nurse, getting older, but still pretty good defenseman. But it's Connor McDavid. He had 30 more points than anyone else last year, and Leon Draisaitl was the next best, and he had 10 more points than anyone else last year. So I don't really see a world where I can put them any lower.
Tkachuk's not better than Asian Gretzky.
I said top 5. Maybe Asian Gretzky's 4.
That's what I like to hear.
Then
they're so fun.
They really are. I mean, you're talking about a free bet that's not, but it's not going to win you a lot of money. But McDavid to score on any given night, your odds are so incredibly good on that. I mean, it can turn like $1 or $5 into like $1 because the odds are so low. But if you're just looking for like a gimme win because you're on a downslope, I mean,
You know what I'm gonna do this year is I'm gonna try this out and I'll let you guys how it know. Hypothetically, I'll have my dad do it, so of course we don't promote underage gambling. I'm gonna take the game where McDavid scores 1 or less points. Next game, I'm gonna bet that he scores 2 points, which will give me plus money odds. I'm gonna see. Well, I'm gonna track that through the whole season and see how I end up. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, really underrated player for these guys.
He's great.
100-point score last year.
I think a lot of people think he's overrated because he went number one, and he's really not shown to be a number one guy. And his stats are inflated because he plays with McDavid and Draisaitl. But yeah, he's not a bad player. Now into S tier, I think one of these teams is no question. One of them I might get a little question on, but Brody knows like they shouldn't have any question. Can we talk about the Asian Michael Jordan wannabe? There's nothing to talk about Jason Robertson. He's just
Anthony Edwards put him to sleep. The only reason, so
we're talking about
we're talking about basketball player here. Yuta Wannabe got the most bailed out call in NBA history after Anthony Edwards stuffed his nuts down his throat and dunked on him, but they called a charge. Worst call in NBA history, and that is just terrible.
Fuck Sidney Crosby. We do got to finish this segment because we are running a little late, guys.
So the Knights. I mean, they had a pretty bad offseason. I'm not gonna lie. But they won the cup, and they did it in convincing fashion. They had the most depth. They had a fun roster. They had great goaltending. I mean, which was a little questionable during the regular season. But Aiden Hill really stepped up, and I think he can carry that into next year. And I think they are the best team in the West. I mean, in a very weak Western Conference. But, yeah, I think they're still the best team in the West. And then this is my kind of dark horse pick, but I really don't see why it should be a dark horse. I mean, they only got better. The Carolina Hurricanes, their big question is goaltending, but I think we're kind of to see that really doesn't matter in the league.
I also think Frederik Andersen's going to be – I think he's going to be good.
Yeah,
I trust Frederik Andersen.
He is a little older, but he's been around the league. He knows what to do. And then their offense is good. Their defense has always been good.
Best coach team in the NHL right here.
Now, their big question is if they can get past the Eastern Conference Finals. They are now 0-8 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think if they were to get into that final, the Stanley Cup final, they win it. I think they win it this year. I think they win it next year. So Carolina futures bet, that would be my pick.
My question for you is when they meet those feisty Detroit Red Wings, do they beat them? I don't know if they can.
You think Detroit's making the Eastern Conference Finals?
No.
Stanley Cup final if they play the
Yeah. You know, I'll go off the wall here and say if Detroit makes the playoffs, they win a series.
Okay, I can get behind that. Crosby, go. McDavid.
No, Crosby's not.
McDavid. No, McDavid's best player in the league. Free Bird. I rest my case. Good night.
Wow.
All right. So that is my. Yeah.
We love Birdman.
Yeah. This is my final list. Let's see the time. So, hour 30, a little longer than usual. I think last episode was like 50-something minutes. So, but any final words, guys?
Hey, absolutely love the fan interaction today. It was really good. The comments we got were great. It really made for a better podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys, and please tune in to next episode. Next episode will probably be our best and most fun episode coming up, baby.
You want to do some heated talks? We'll get into it.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate everything, and thank you for all the comments.
What time are we going Sunday, Tom?
Sundays. You guys want earlier?
Zane and I work 10 to 6.
So, I don't know. Want to go
8?
Yeah, let's go for 8 p.m.
Prime time.
Prime time, baby.
For college football.
For college
Only
football.
This will be a longer than it'll probably be an hour and a half, maybe 2. This is going to be a college football segment, and we are excited.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys Sunday.